Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends were the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk
You should learn something from each and every single round you play in.
to fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore. Behind the Golf Brand Podcast is sponsored by On Point, the revolutionary three-dimensional domed golf ball marker. On Point provides alignment recognition as small as a degree of inaccuracy from the planned course of the putt face angle. Endorsed by Jim Furyk, U.S. Open champion and 17-time PGA Tour winner. On Point alignment technology has been proven to increase putting performance and help lower your score. Visit onpointgolf.us and be sure to use code GA10 for a 10% discount. On Point, make more putts.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, I got my friend Kevin Belzer from Fringe Golf. I've talked to, I don't know when I started first talking to you. I think it was maybe like a year and a half ago. Well, it's been longer than that, I think. Right when you started, I believe. And so Kevin makes these really cool head covers, like very like innovative, and the designs are crazy cool. I love them. I have one over here. I should have pulled it out for the intro to show you guys. But welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
So I don't know if you've ever heard my show. If not, it's not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm gonna tell you guys a story first. Kevin and I were supposed to do this yesterday, and we ended up being on the phone for like how long, dude? Like an hour and a half, probably.
Yeah. So
we literally talked for like an hour and a half on Zoom. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got to go to work. And he's like, yeah, so do I. So then we started today, but that's like, I just saw Kevin yesterday. So usually it's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a long time. But so Kevin, the first question I always ask on the podcast is like, what is your first memory of golf?
Oh, I mean, I don't even know. It sort of involves my dad, I guess, but because I just remember like his clubs that he had. He had ping eye twos. Like
my dad had ping eye twos. Which color? I think he had red.
Orange dot.
Yeah.
So like, but he had from like he even had the wood. So like the wooden 1, 3, and 5 wood. I remember because I ended up using them when I was like in high school. Those were the clubs I used. But for some reason, I do remember them as a kid.
Those big ones, right? Like they're like the logo is huge on that thing.
Yeah, and for real wood woods, I think they were like one of the first ones, if not like the first like oversized, like they were bigger than all the other like wooden clubs.
What year was that? Like 80 something?
Yeah, it had to be.
So even though Kevin looks like he's 15, he's not. He's 40, which I learned that yesterday. I wish I looked like that. I look old, dude. Every time I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, how wrinkly and old I look. Kevin's like he's 25, honestly. I'm so jealous. Good genes. So
I got carded the other day because I was buying
shut up. You got carded?
Well, I was buying spray paint and you have to be 18.
Were you going to go tag something?
But I mean, you know, I also had a mask on too. So I don't know if that made me look.
Oh, I remember I used to get pissed off when I got carded. And now I would literally just thank the person. You know, I'd be like, oh, thank you so much. You know, but that's what happens. So like, I'll tell you a story real quick. My favorite new TV show, even though it's been on for a million years, is The Goldbergs. Have you ever seen that show?
Oh, yeah. Because again, I used to live in the Philly area. So like I like that show because there's a lot of references, obviously, where he's from the suburbs there.
Oh my God, dude. I've never seen that show. We started watching it as a family this last week on whatever Hulu. And dude, that is the funniest freaking show. And if you grew up in the 80s, like I thought, oh, great 80s show. No, it is so my favorite show. And now we are like calling each other morons in the house. Like, come on, you moron. That's what the dad always calls everybody.
It kind of reminds me of like the Wonder Years, but for a different era, you know, like for
but funnier, I think. You know, that was like so serious, you know, and all this is like, it's like a Wonder Year. I saw something this morning too. Like my favorite character is Barry, the brother, dude. He is so freaking funny. And like, I don't know. It just so like the episode we watched last night was it was the Thanksgiving episode, like season 1 out. But anyways, like So they're playing this game in the basement, and I look and like the way they set their set, it's so good because behind them is the GI Joe aircraft carrier and the box, and I was like, oh, they have the GI Joe aircraft carrier, and like that was the only thing I ever wanted as a kid, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, the show's amazing. Like that even I don't know. Sorry, I just totally digress there, but I think 80s. That's like me, man. I used to play golf with my dad all the time. He had the exact same club. That's just so funny. He still has those clubs, I think, in his garage. I had some like really cheap knockoff. I think they were called Magic or Magique, but it's like, oh no, they're Magiques. And I'm like, no, let's say Magic. And I remember there's such a big piece of shit that like, I remember in junior high or high school, we were at the driving range and I literally broke the face off the 7-iron. Like it just broke off and it started flying into the middle of the driving range. I'm like, is that the Magique, Dad? So did you like grow up playing golf? Like, were you like really good and like played in high school and all that stuff? Or not really.
Yeah, I think I was pretty good when I was a junior. I started, I want to say like when I was around like third grade. So I grew up in Florida, and I played in tournaments and stuff as a kid.
So you were good.
I was good for back then. Like now, you get kids. Like if you're not,
it's a different generation, dude.
Yeah, if you're not shooting par better, you're not like winning any tournaments. Like I was winning tournaments as a kid, shooting right around for like 9 holes. Like if you shot better than like 45, you were good when I was growing up. So like if I was shooting like 41, 42 for 9 holes, it was winning stuff, and that's what I was.
It's so crazy, like because when we were kids, it was different. I feel like an old man saying that, but it was like sports. Yeah. It wasn't as like intense as it is now. There wasn't a million travel teams like baseball. There was like one, and it's just a different time. I don't know. I didn't play. I just played like I was normal. I just played with my dad, and I got really good once. That was I graduated. Well, I got good in college. I think good. Like I shot in the 70s, but I mean, it all tanks once you have kids. So, So when did you go to college or what'd you do?
I went to the University of Florida, but not for golf or anything.
Just for the ladies.
Yeah. So I grew up in Gainesville, and that kind of ended up being like just where I ended up applying. This is the only school I applied to. And you're growing up in that town. When I say grow up, I moved there when I was in 6th grade, so it wasn't like my entire life. Everyone in that town is very like gung-ho about the Gators and sort of like in your face, and it's obnoxious. At least it was
really
for me growing up. Well, so when I was like in high school, it was when like
they were good, like super good.
Like yeah, they had Danny Warfel and all those, and during like when they were going against Tennessee, and Tennessee had Peyton Manning and everything, and it was just kind of
those days. So yeah, I remember that.
I did not like them growing up, and then once I started going to school there, like everything changed though, because I don't know, it was hard for me, like because I was into sports.
You cared. I mean, that's what it is, right? Like you just started caring about it, and then you're like,
exactly.
Hey,
this is where I go to school, like, and
I
now,
represent. Yeah, like I like went to college. I went to Purdue for undergrad.
Oh yeah, who was playing?
Drew Brees. Drew Brees was in my freaking psychology class, and I was like, "Who's this dude?" And like, because he was a redshirt freshman. Now I wish I was like his best friend, but I wasn't. I just talked to him, and he was in my group and stuff like that. But I was there like when the Purdue was good, like the late 2000s. They made the Rose Bowl, and that was a big deal because Purdue sucked for like a billion years. But like, I never cared about like Big Ten football because I'm from Arizona. I was like, whatever, who cares? But then once you're in there and you're like, and you see the other fans and the way they act against your team and stuff, like you get all pissed off. Like I hate Notre Dame. I'm going to put out there right now. I hate Notre Dame. They're assholes. Like, and then I respect Ohio State. Like Ohio State, they always kick their ass, but it's okay because they were cool. Like they were just like, yeah, we're good. And they would travel everywhere. Notre Dame, they're just dicks. Like they're like, oh, we're rich. We go to Notre Dame, man. We get to pick our schedule. So when we beat them, it was a big deal. Like it was like a 25-year drought, and we went crazy. We were so crazy, we ripped the goalposts out and we threw it in a river. That's what we did. There's a big river like close to Purdue. It was funny. I think it cost the school like $20,000 or something. But yeah, so. Then, did you play golf in college? Like, what was your major?
I didn't. It was computer engineering. So
How'd you go from computer engineering to what you do now? That's a big jump. Your dad wanted you to be a computer engineer.
Yeah, my parents.
I knew. That's like my parents.
It's hard to say, I guess. Like I probably was good enough after high school if I really had like did recruiting for myself. I was probably good enough to play at a small school, maybe. Definitely not like a school like Florida.
Yeah.
But I guess I didn't really have a lot of ambition, when I was in like high school. Because I probably averaged 38, 39 for 9 holes, which back then, like now you're not playing college golf with those kind of scores. But back then I could have played like Division III or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. So then when you graduated, did you graduate with a degree doing that?
I did. It took me a while. I did an internship and I interned with the PGA Tour.
Really?
My junior year. And so I was working in their information systems department. That was 2003. And so it was a summer internship. Their headquarters is located at the TPC in Sawgrass. So spent the summer in Ponte Vedra. And the cool thing was we got summer memberships at the TPC. So I got maybe like half a dozen rounds at the stadium course. That was before they redid it. And then a bunch of rounds, like a lot more at their other course, the Valley. And I think they play a Corn Ferry Tour event at the Valley now. But that summer was like kind of the summer that I got a lot better in golf and then decided I want to see how good I can get and see if it would be possible for me to like play professionally and maybe, like earn a living doing that.
Really? So you just got good because you're playing a lot and you're naturally good too, probably. So then that's what happens in golf. People think, well, how do I get better in golf? Just play a lot, like for reals. Like that's the key to golf. Play like every day. And
it was the first summer, or it was the first time I took a lesson since I started playing too. And that made a difference. I met another guy there who's an intern also. So they had a bunch of us interns and we all like lived together, but we were all working for different departments within the PGA Tour. And I don't remember what department this guy worked in, but he was a collegiate golfer at a smaller school, Jacksonville University. So he was local too. And so since he was local, I just kind of asked him, I'm like, do you take lessons from someone around here that's any good, or do you recommend anyone? And he told me who he took lessons from. And so I booked myself a lesson because I was just like, I haven't had one since I started playing. And I remember I went there and all the guy did, the guy started, he was like, let me watch you hit some balls first. And just, I'll just watch you hit a bunch of balls. And it was a day I was hitting the ball well. And, I'm sitting there like, I wonder what he's going to say. Like, I'm hitting it so good.
Like, I'm so good. He's going to be like, holy shit, you don't even need lessons.
Exactly. And no, it was funny. When he stopped me and he was like, you know what? I'm surprised at how well you hit the ball, given the fact, and he went through like my setup and how crappy my setup was. Am I allowed to cuss in this?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't care. I've already dropped some bombs.
Yeah, like he's like, so he was like, I used to stand really close to the ball and almost had no like hip hinge, and so like I was like really crowded and a very upright. I don't have any videos of it, but I remember like him changing. He was like, you need to get like into like a more athletic position, more athletic setup. And so all the guy did, my first lesson with him, was change my setup. He didn't like tell me to do anything different with like the motion of my swing. And then all of a sudden I started hitting the ball further and straighter. And it was like, huh. And then like I was going out and playing, and all of a sudden it was like, if I was scoring well, I was shooting like par. And if I wasn't, I was only shooting like maybe like 76 or something like that.
And that changed everything.
And then it was just like one of those like, oh, well, that's all it took was just this one lesson. And then I took more lessons, but then I started like thinking, okay, well, let me start practicing, because that was one thing I never really did. I never really practiced, I just wanted to go out and play. And I cared if I played well, but again, I wasn't ambitious enough to like actually work on getting better, I guess, until then.
And then you're like, oh, I actually am not that bad. Like,
Right.
so that's what I've been thinking about lately, like to start getting lessons again. Like I got a couple lessons when I was a kid, but then I just feel like I need lessons. I just think like you learn so much on your own. And if you could just like pause and like be like, oh, this is the way I'll give you an example. Like my dad be very, very, very good at golf, but he's changed his like everything his entire life. He's always inventing stuff. He's like, oh, I tried this new method, blah, 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 blah. And then next week it's a whole different thing. And then he starts teaching my kids that. And I'm like, don't teach my kids that because that doesn't even make sense. Right. Like, like he was putting with one arm, just stupid stuff. And so then my kids started doing that. And I'm like, no, like my dad's like super obsessed with golf. Like he always has been. But I feel like if I just got lessons and I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I'm going to use what I've learned myself. And then I'm going to follow what he's doing. And I'm assuming that I'll probably become better. Because I think what I want my goal to be this year, well, in the next 1 year is to try to like break 80 again. Like, I don't know, like my kids are getting older, so I have a little more time to play. So I'm like, I want to break 80 like consistently. Right. But that's kind of, I have all this stuff, right? Like to learn how to do it. All these training aids. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool. But I think lessons are the key. I got fitted last year, 2 years ago, my irons, and that helped tremendously. Right.
Oh yeah.
So
depending on the stuff you were using before.
Oh yeah. And I had nice clubs. I had really nice clubs. I had like P790s, like brand freaking new, and I could never hit them. Right. I ended up giving them to my boss actually like 2 weeks ago. There's like $2,000 irons, or they were when I bought them. But like I got some new irons and they weren't fitted for me when I bought them. They're just like off the shelf. And so then I got these new irons and I'm like, holy crap. And they're like custom. And I'm like, that's the key. Being custom fitted in lessons, that's how you become good. But so then how long were you with that guy for?
I'm trying to think if I went and took lessons after that summer from or not, because it's not that far away from Gainesville. It's like less than 2 hours. I actually don't really remember. Because I know I started taking lessons from a guy in Gainesville at some point who really helped my game. His wife was on the LPGA tour, so he had a lot of experience with players who were, trying to take it to a professional level. And I liked that guy's approach. It was, he was
good.
He wasn't trying, like, the good thing I liked was I had kind of like a quirky swing, and I never had he wasn't the type of guy who was trying to make me do anything like completely different, like, because I could still hit the ball really well the way I swung. So he was just trying to make me more consistent and hit the ball straighter and stuff like that. But.
So, well, then were you like playing tour events? What were you doing?
I was playing like mini tour events. So they're professional events. I did that for like 4 years. So between 2006 to 2010, I tried.
Were your parents like, go get a job, a real job, go be a computer engineer? So you paid for your school to go do that.
They were, but they also, I wouldn't have been able to play in any of those tournaments without their like financial help. So they supported me in that sense.
That's cool.
Yeah, well, they were awesome.
So then you were doing that, and then what happened? Because the reason I'm going into this story, because it's really cool how you evolved, right, into what you're doing now as your job, and then how you started into Fringe over the last, year or two. So then when did you start caddying then?
2011. So like basically the year after I stopped playing. When I stopped playing, it wasn't a for sure, like, at least for me, it wasn't at the time. Like,
it slowed down.
Done. It was like, okay, I'm going to caddy for a little bit. And then I'll also try to do both, like caddy and play and stuff. Because my parents helped me with the golf, with the money for the golf till I was 30. And that was something we agreed on. And so that was basically, turned into
time's up. Yeah.
So I didn't know exactly what I was going to do or what I wanted to do. And I had a buddy who was in the PGA program. So he was trying to be, a head pro or assistant pro. and this is down in Florida, but he kept looking in the like New York metropolitan area for positions in the summer.
Why?
Telling me, I don't know why he wanted that area. Because again, like at that point, I wasn't really like looking into to that kind of stuff, so I didn't know why he wanted up there. Other than like, I know that's a lot of people like go up north during the winter in the golf industry, and then they'll come down to Florida or go out to Arizona in the winter, and they won't. It's not like usually a year-round thing where they'll stay in Florida or Arizona. So he was looking up there, and he was telling me how he was having trouble finding courses that needed an assistant pro, but they would tell him like, oh, well, we have a caddy program, and if you want, we'd definitely take you on as a caddy. And he never did accept any of them, but he was telling me about it. And he was saying like, yeah, you'd make this much a week caddying at this course and this. And so
there's a lot, right?
It was more than I know. And I didn't even know like there were courses that had caddy programs. So there are a bunch in Florida that have caddy programs, but the vast majority are in South Florida. And I lived in Gainesville, which is like north central Florida. So it's like 2 hours north of Orlando, an hour south of the Georgia border. And there weren't any courses that far north that did caddy programs. So all the courses I played, you just hopped on a cart or you walked if you wanted to. But I did some research, and I saw online that it was posted online that Marion Golf Club was looking for caddies. And I didn't know all the history. I knew I heard of Marion, and I did some research, and I was like, oh, so like this right here is one of the wicker baskets up here. Marion is the course that has the wicker baskets for their pins on top of their pins.
Interesting. That's cool.
So they hosted the 2013 US Open, the one that Justin Rose won. But they were looking for caddies, and I sent the caddy master an email, and it was just like, hey, it was almost just like a feeler, because there was no real like application process. And, I'm sitting here like, oh, I just hope I hear it back from him and see what he has to say. And I think it was like the next day or 2 days later, I get a phone call from him, and he doesn't ask me any questions or anything. He was just like, hey, I want you to come up to caddy this summer. And so I was like, and it was in January. And at the time, I was still in Florida, and it wasn't like I had plans to be up in Pennsylvania, and then I was looking for jobs in there. I just was like, oh, well, let me see if I
probably because like you were ballsy, right? Like it was early in the season, right? Like beginning of the year, and you're just call them, right? Or you send an email. You send an email.
Yeah.
But still, like if you initiatives half the battle right there, right? They're like, that's what someone reaches out to me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. Not I'm asking for free stuff, but I mean, like, oh, that's cool. They're, that's so. Then what happened? Then is that where you went then?
Yeah, I went there. I asked him. I'm like, well, when do you want me to let you know by? Because again, I wasn't. It would require me obviously moving up there. So he gave me till like the 1st of March, because they start their season. It's usually like the first weekend of April is when they start up there. So I was weighing my options. I had another club that was going to let me caddy in South Carolina, but it was just a private club, and the money was pretty comparable, at least what they were telling me. Who knows if at that time it's like, who knows if what they're telling me is legit or not. But it was kind of in the middle of nowhere in South Carolina. And so the one good thing about it would have been cost of living was going to be cheaper in South Carolina, and it would have been closer to home. But Marion is just outside Philadelphia. And I don't know, it just kind of sounded like, and it's a well-known course. It's where Bobby Jones completed his Grand Slam. So,
oh, that's cool.
So I was like, all right, I'll go to Marion. So yeah, I went up there, brought a car full of stuff, got an apartment. And initially it was like, okay, I'll go for the season, see how it goes. Cause this was sort of going to be like a transition thing for me, where like that first year, I was still thinking, okay, when the season's over, I'm going to go back down to Florida, play in tournaments, but I'm going up here because I need to make some money because I don't have any money, But then after that first year, I did go back down to Florida, played in tournaments. Game never really progressed, and I liked caddying, so I went back up for a second year. And then after that second year, I just stayed up there. Like I didn't come back down to Florida. So it was just moving twice a year just didn't appeal to me. So I just stayed.
Forget that.
Yeah. People do it, like, especially in the caddy industry or even other parts of the golf industry. People do that all the time where they move. They have basically 2 places where they live a year and just they're moving every year twice. So even up here, like, so I'm in Wisconsin now, even in Wisconsin, obviously there's not much I can do caddy wise in the winter. So a lot of the caddies where I caddy now, they're down in Florida or they're down in Arizona. So
now where are you caddying now then?
So I'm at Sand Valley Golf Resort, which is a fairly new resort. I want to say they opened up in like 2016. And I got here because in 2018, Marion shut down to do a restoration. So, they closed down the course. They redid the fairways, redid all the greens, did very minor, very little minor course changes. I mean, I haven't seen it since it's finished, but like I know what they were looking at doing. So they weren't really doing like an overhaul of the layout or anything like that. They just redoing the fairways, redoing the greens and the rough and that kind of stuff. But yeah, they shut down for a little more than a season. And again, I came out here with another guy from Marion, and we were like, our plan was we're just going to come out here for the 1 year. And then when Marion reopens, we'll be back there. I think there were actually 5 of us from Marion that came here, but like the other 3 people I hadn't talked to. And so when I got here that 1 year, it was like a surprise that I saw them there, but this other guy, like we got an apartment together. So we knew, I knew he was going to be there. Then after that first year, we both went back to Philly, but we decided to come back. We just liked it better. Season was shorter here being in Wisconsin as opposed to like the Philadelphia area.
Really?
Yeah. We haven't.
Are you further north?
We are.
I mean, I know sounds dumb. Like, oh yeah, dude. But like, I didn't realize
that. It's not that much further north though. But I think maybe just
more water
being on the coast over in Philly, maybe.
Yeah. You don't get as much. Well, that's what I was like. Here's another thing. When I was at Purdue too, like there was this like I call it Chicago bubble area, and they would get dumped with snow. But then Purdue's like 2 hours south. We didn't get anything, And I think the lake effect snow is like legit.
Yeah, could be.
You probably guys get it because you're on the. I mean, how far are you from the Lake Michigan then?
Still over an hour, maybe like because
you're right in the middle of the state, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I'm like 3 hours from Chicago, 2 hours from Green Bay.
Yeah, you're like dead center in the middle.
2.5 from Milwaukee, and we're like 3 hours from Minneapolis. Yeah, so if you go in the other direction, but yeah, this place is great. Yeah, we
so
get
then
a lot.
So how long have you been there then?
I'm going into my fourth season.
But you didn't leave, right? You stayed there over the winter.
I left my first year. I went.
Oh, and then after that, you just stayed there. Did you work during that time, or you worked on Fringe, or is that when you invented Fringe?
That's when I started working on Fringe. So because let's see, 2018, then winter 2018 and 19, I was in Philly. Came back, worked my second season, and then between my second and third season is when I started doing Headcovers.
So let's talk about Fringe. All right. So when did you have the idea for Fringe? What year was that? It was my second season at Sand Valley. So 2019. So it was like during the season. It was kind of towards the end. It was something that I kept telling people I was going to do without actually giving it much thought. But in my head, I was like, well, if I keep telling people this is what I plan on doing, then, it'll kind of force me in a way to. Yeah, because you don't want to be a douche and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. I hate people like that. So like either keep your mouth shut or do it and then talk about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was kind of like, well, people would be like, well, what are you going to do during the winter? Because again, a lot of people who caddy and the caddy up north, they'll go down south to caddy, and that's what they do in the winter. And so I would get a lot of like, what are you going to do in the winter? What are you going to do in the winter? And, so that's what I would tell people, even though I hadn't really given it a whole lot of thought or started. It was just an idea. I mean, really, right? Like,
But I figured I tell people and it almost makes me accountable and it'll make me want to do it because then I could be like, yeah, I did it.
So I guess tell everybody, what is Fringe?
So we make head covers primarily for drivers, fairway woods, and hybrids. I've had a couple people request putter head covers, and I've made some for people, but I don't have any like stock ones that I sell on my website. But for the most part, our designs are, we're kind of geared towards the unconventional or, like the people that want to like stand out. So we don't have a ton. I've got a couple here that I can show. I know like if you're listening and not watching this, you're not going to be able to see.
Some people might watch it.
This is probably
like your mom and dad.
Perhaps, yeah. Like here's one that is probably our most
your girlfriend
traditional looking one.
So that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's a plaid, which is fairly traditional, especially with golf. But it's also like the colors of it and the patterns, not like I guess what you would call like in my
traditional.
Opinion, this is cool looking. It stands out. Here's like another one that is less traditional. It's just got a bunch of birds on it. And we call this one Birdie Dancing.
See, that's awesome. Like I love that one. That's like my favorite one. So, I don't know why. I don't even like birds, but
we've got it's cool. A bunch of different, and majority of them are, again, I wanted ones. Here's our Pineapple Express hybrid head cover. Wanted ones that stand out. And yeah. So
then like you decided, I'm going to make a head cover company, but I don't know jack shit about head covers, right? Like, I'm assuming that's what people say. And then it's like your path, right? Like you start figuring it out. Like, okay, what design, right? How to make it, like all these things. So it's like, trust me, I'm having the same issues. Like I'm going to make a new golf brand and then start figuring it out. That's the fun part of it, right? Is solving the problem. So then like you didn't really know anything, right? Outside, you knew what a head cover was, but you didn't know how to make one. Right. Or how to design one. Yeah.
I had 2 hybrid. So it really was like one of those things where I had 2 hybrid head covers from Sand Valley. And like I liked them and they were expensive. I think I get a discount. So like, they weren't too bad for me, but like they were expensive head covers and they were well made and everything. My biggest issue was kind of just like the designs of them, not like the actual design of the skeleton or the head cover, but just the pattern on it. It wasn't something like it didn't stand out enough for me, I guess. It wasn't as loud as I wanted it to be, but it was what they had in the shop. And so that was sort of the reason why I was like, well, maybe I should look at making head covers and again, have all these crazy patterns and bright colors and stuff like that. And so I kind of looked at those head covers that I had, and you could tell they were like, for the most part, I don't know if they were actually hand sewn, but they were sewn. They had a lining, they had a shell. And from there, I was just thinking to myself, okay, well, I figure out how to sew or learn how to sew. I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to make a head cover. And it took me about a month of like going to Joann Fabric, buying fabric and trying different shapes and sizes, and then getting it to have a nice, like clean look at the end. Cause I had a couple designs where I'm like, oh, this is pretty good shape wise. But then like the technique or the way I sewed it together, like you could see like seams and stuff that I didn't think were, like sort of low quality, made it look low quality. And it took me about a month to figure out or to find a good design that looks good. And that looks like something you could sell, or someone would buy and not think, well, this was like a piece of junk, Yeah,
like this is cheap,
Exactly. Yep.
So it's pretty innovative because like, and the design of your head cover is not like traditional like barrel, or it's not.
Yeah.
What is it exactly?
And I went away from it. It's like just a rectangle. Let me just turn around real quick. I can grab like my 3-wood head cover. So this is what it looks like on a club. But yeah, I purposely didn't want to go the barrel route because, again, I wanted my head covers to stand out. I wanted them to be different.
Because everybody does that.
Exactly. Everyone does barrel, and not to knock anyone that's doing barrels, because I mean,
No, it's cool.
there's no real reason. But like, again, I personally wasn't even a fan of the barrel style head covers to begin with too. So that was another thing. Like, I wasn't a fan of the barrels. Plus, I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. So again, that's what it looked like on. It's just a rectangle for the most part. We have fleece lining on the interior. It's got elastic, and then you can't see the elastic. It's sewn in between the shell and the liner. So
That's cool.
It's not going to fall off your club. But yeah, I can do custom design, or like I can do custom head covers too. So we do that on our site as well. And I'd say majority of the people just go with a stock version, but I've done a good amount of custom ones too as well.
And how long does it take you to do custom?
Well, we have different sort of varieties of custom ones that I've done. So like if someone wants just, let's say, one of the stock designs with maybe like a number or a logo on it, as long as I have that in stock, that would take like a day for me to do. If someone wanted like a custom design, it'd probably be like 2-3 weeks. It kind of depends. I mean, once we get the design done, and so the way that works, if someone wanted like a custom design on their head cover, just from the start, I would work on the design, and then before I would actually go ahead and get the material with the design on it, I'd double check with the customer to see if like get the okay that, hey, yeah, like this design's good, and then we'll move forward. And then from that point, it's sort of out of my hands, because the company I get my fabric from, they're pretty fast. Like I'd say I usually get stuff in a week, but especially with COVID, like last year, there were times where it took me closer to 3 weeks to get some stuff. But I think normally it's only about a week. And then from there, just another couple of days to make the head cover. So if it was like one head cover that they wanted and they wanted it to be custom, I could potentially have it done in a week. So
do they like tell you when you do a custom, how does that work? Do they tell you the design? They give you the design, or how, like, do they give you the file?
Yeah, so they could do that. They could like tell me what they're looking for, and then I would have to maybe sort of come up with a design of my own. And then that's when I would go back to them with the design that I had to see if what I came up with, to see if they like it. Or
so they'll give you an idea of what they like. I was like, if I say, hey, I want a really cool flashy bird, you're like, okay, cool. All right, well, here's a couple of ones we could do, and then they can pick or something.
Yeah. Or they might give me the design, like you said. Like I have a buddy who owns a gym who wanted some with his gym's logo on it. And I mean, I made a couple different designs with it, but I mean, for the most part, he provided the logo for me. And so I did a couple of different mock-ups with his logo, and then he just okayed the ones he liked. I did that.
So what percentage of custom versus non-custom would you say is your business right now?
It's definitely less than half. No, it's definitely less than half. It's probably closer to a third. Oh yeah. One other thing I've been doing too, and these would fall under the custom ones as well. So I'll break my driver one out. So if you can see, this is my little Florida Gator driver head cover. I started making, like, I'll take those garden flags. Do you know what a garden flag is? Like those flags that people put on a stake outside of their house on their front yard to show what like team they support.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll cut and sew a head cover out of that. And so it's a good way for people to be able to like get one of my head covers, but also like support a team or something. And I won't have, I don't have to worry about the licensing
and all that crap, and be like, how the hell do I even go down that road?
Right. The flag is licensed. So once I purchased, the flag, and
that's actually really smart.
And I cut and sew it, it turns into my product. So I had to do a lot of research to make sure that like,
you probably like, no wonder you go to Home Depot every day. You're like, I'm going to go buy a bunch of garden flags, but they're all like UW and like,
Packers, everything.
Packers.
Yeah. So
you should do that. I I bet you could buy them really cheap somewhere.
So yeah, they're like
get from China. You're like, I want $1 million Packer, and they probably cost you like $20, but the shipping would be like $10,000.
So I buy a lot of them on Amazon, which is nice. Amazon's awesome because like usually, you get stuff in a day. You buy stuff on Amazon. So, I've had a lot of people ask me for, I've done 2 Packer ones. And these are people that I've met in real life who are asking for them. So they're not just people like other parts of the country. 2 Packer ones.
Dude, that's really smart. That is like really smart. Like
one University of Wisconsin one.
Because that's just pretty durable, right? I mean, it's supposed to be a flag outside your house. This is right. Last a while. I mean, and plus those will they wear out and fade after a couple of years, but that's because they're out in the sun all the time and winter and all that crap. And like, if you're in a golf bag, that thing will last 1,000,000 years. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's still pretty durable. That's so smart. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. This guy's a smart guy.
So I got a lot of those last year from other caddies. So I was getting a lot of business from people I was meeting in person on the job at Sand Valley.
That's so freaking funny.
The third custom option that I do that's available. Instagram too. I get people reaching out for those kind of head covers on Instagram as well.
So smart. So what's the future hold for you then? Like, what's your plan?
Well, so we were talking yesterday and I was telling you how just bought a house. And so I put a lot of the stuff that I was going to do for Fringe kind of on hold. So maybe not till next winter, but for the most part, I don't do a ton of advertising with the brand. I kind of just let it run itself. And when orders come in, I make the head covers. I want to sort of ramp up and the advertising and drive more traffic. And that was something I was going to do this winter, but again, just ended up buying a house and now I'm just doing all kinds of like home improvement stuff instead. So I'll wait till golf season ends because we're about to start up in a week or like in 2 weeks here. And
you're going to be busy, right? I mean, you're going to be busy.
I'm going to be busy. And again, I'm just I'm a one-man show here.
Yeah.
One-man operation. All the head covers are hand sewn.
I love what you do. I don't know. Like we talked a lot about yesterday and you're like showing me like your process. I was like, this dude's smart. Like I learned so much from you yesterday in our phone call. Like that's why we were on the phone forever. I was like, that's really smart. That's really smart. Like the way you found, I wouldn't call it a shortcut, but like a faster way of doing it. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like without having, I don't know. I just think it's smart, dude. That was really commendable. So it's because you're a computer engineer, even though you don't want to.
Yeah. But for the most part, yeah, like come out with more designs and just more patterns when I say design. So I'm not going to try to like come out with like a different style head cover.
No.
I just keep it simple. I don't know what we have right now. I think we have like maybe a dozen different styles on the website at the moment. I'm not sure if when I bring new ones on, if I might retire some, because I don't want to have 50 different, styles for people to choose from. I mean, that might not be a bad thing, but I'm one of those people that think when you have that many to pick from, it might be a little too overwhelming for people. And if there's less to choose from, they're more likely going to buy. I could be wrong. Like I haven't done any research, just sort of my personal feeling. But yeah, more styles, ramp up the advertising and the marketing. Again, like right now, I set up a website. I know you can find us on Google if you search us. I've done some paid Instagram ads and stuff like that. Usually when I'm running a promotion, but haven't really spent a ton on advertising. And that's something I'm looking to probably do again when I'm a little less busy in the winter next year or at the end of this season.
Well, I like what you're doing. It's been I don't know how long. I bet it's been over a year since you sent me my head covers. It was
probably around February, I want to say, but it wasn't like a lot longer than a year.
Was it that? Maybe. It probably was before. It was before COVID. I know that.
I mean, we started in January last year.
So it must have been like right away. I don't even know I don't even know how we found each other, to be honest. Either you found me or I found you. I don't.
Yeah, I found you on Instagram, but I found was it Damon?
Yeah, Damon.
I found Damon and I DM'd him. So
that's right. Yeah, time goes by so fast, dude. Last year was a blur. I don't even remember shit. But I mean, I think what you do is cool. I like how you are not doing what everybody else does. You know what I mean? Like you kind of have your own flair, number one, but also design. And so that's like cool because there's tons of copycats out there. And I just think it's cool to see that. But you guys need to check out, what's your website again? Fringe Golf something?
FringeGolfUSA.com. And then on Instagram, it's Fringe Golf USA also.
You guys gotta check out his designs and they're reasonable, like seriously. And they look amazeballs, as my kids would say.
Oh yeah, another thing for the future. Right now, it's not on the site. At some point, I've got it hanging in the back. T-shirts might go on the site and hats. We have beanies on the site right now.
Dude, it's so hard doing all that stuff, man. Like it's like so many like moving parts. It's like, oh yeah, I know. You guys should do towels. But like with the material you use now. But I don't think you want to mess that up though. You know what I mean? Like the actual material.
I wonder if what we use right now, if that would.
It would jack it up, I think. I don't think maybe that one we looked at yesterday. Remember that other one that was like just came out, whatever it was called, and we're like, oh yeah, check that one out. The durable one, or whatever it was. Remember? Mm-hmm. So maybe that would be. I don't know, because you could make some sick ass towels quick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh crap! I put the mind
yesterday.
Huh?
No, I said I forgot about that other fabric that we were looking at yesterday.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, you guys gotta check out Fringe. It's really cool, like because there's really nothing he can't do. I mean, really. So it's like if you have a design you like, hey, I like this design of whatever, he can make it for you, right? Or you could say, hey, I like your stock designs, which are cool. Like your tiger one's really cool. I like that one a lot. Yeah, look at that. That's like porno tiger right there, man. That's like that's like sheets.
Yeah, I mean
that's the Tiger King. That's Tiger King.
Yeah, or if you like Tiger Woods too.
Oh, there you go.
You're not even thinking golf.
No, I was. I was just messing with you.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
Other thing, I mean, you can't see it unless you have one in your hand. Like the material that I use, it's not any material that anyone else is using, and it's like super, super soft, but it's heavy duty. So it's not like cheap. It has a high end look to it.
No, it does. It's like
and then,
but it's over there. I should grab it, but it's like it's a cool. I think that's a driver one. I think you gave me over there. I think you gave me one of each.
Yeah,
but they're all different. Like the one he gave me for my hybrid. This is cool. It was like this tie. I wouldn't call it tie dye, but it kind of looked like a tie dye. I remember it was like multicolor. But then he freaking put this like overlay of my logo of the ball guy, Bally, and it was like a hologram, wasn't it, or something like that? It was sick. It was cool as hell. I was like, oh, that's next level right there. So where is that? I think my dad took it. My dad takes all my stuff. But anyways, thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it. I appreciate our friendship. And you guys got to support him because he's really doing something cool. And he's like a nice, normal, down-to-earth dude. And he's doing it on his own right now. But like with what he's doing, I think it really is going to grow a lot. And that's why I wanted to like expose him, right? Because it's some cool stuff. So they should be on the show, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're going to beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.